Here.
Keith Jandro.
Here.
Sarah Ashley.
Here.
Barry Willett.
Here.
Gary Sibley will not be here today, and Toby and Jake are on their way.
Gary Sibley will be here sometimes after November.
That's what I heard.
After November?
Good time to be
He's got to buy a canoe and motor, snowmobile, pickup, bullets.
You do have one adjustment to your agenda, and on the copy you have in front of you, it's right there under old business, item B. The chairman, who's not here, said we should add a discussion about Valley Unified Education Service Center. So that is listed under old business B.
We don't have any materials or,
Giselle, I wonder if you would go grab the cart from Lucy in her office with all the materials.
I can do that.
Thank you.
If you want to, I will. You have to stay for the minutes.
Well, I can't even access the minutes right now, so
Okay.
I will go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Technology.
A card in Lucy's room.
Hello, Jamie.
Okay.
Do we have public participation, Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, do you wish to speak?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Let me see if there's a,
Well, there's
oh, we
no.
don't have a sign up sheet
Yeah,
yet.
that was the
I
joke.
don't. Jamie, are you participating?
I am not, I'm out.
Jamie's not? Don and Chaz don't want to talk?
No.
So I think we're all set.
All set with that. I'll sit with that.
And I will monitor online if there's any discussion. Under school reintegration updates, not a whole lot to update you on. High school obviously is in full swing. We continue to tweak things here and there with everything. You know, it's there's a lot of moving parts right now, and it's only going to get more interesting tomorrow as our elementary learners start up. Luckily, we do have the staggered start tomorrow and Friday, where we're not bringing in all the elementary for both days. So half of them on Thursday, half of them on Friday, essentially, is how we're doing it. And then we're going to be able to adjust for transportation and see where that is. I know Peter has, you know, he has an idea around what those numbers are going to look like, and then we have a plan B if we know we need it. So we'll see how that all goes over the next few days. Definitely, we're feeling it, even though it's some minor changes to our day. It makes a big impact, and we had some discussions yesterday with the leadership team from the high schools, and one of the biggest challenges that the teachers are talking about is just not being able to collaborate the same way with their colleagues, having a lunch, you know, with groups of colleagues in the lunchroom. That's something they can't do anymore, and different things like that. So we're working on a plan right now for our first early release date, which is September 18. We're gathering some data from our teachers right now on what is it we can do in our schools to help support and foster collaboration and the things that teachers are missing right now. We also want to get teachers the support they need on technology issues they might be having as they've entered their first weeks of school. We'll have a good plan for that early release. We put a shell together yesterday with our high school teachers. Next week we meet with our elementary leaders to finalize what that's going to look like, and the teachers will be getting a survey tomorrow for their feedback. So all good, just different and really ever changing. So that's about all I have for school reintegration updates. Your CRF application was approved, and we are moving forward with projects from that approval. Those projects are slowly getting in motion. I think I've already reviewed some of those things with you all with respect to the enlightening tour that Sarah and I and Keith took that kind of sparked some ideas, and those things are in motion. So C-Wing and A-Wing in Fort Kent Elementary School will be getting windows for increased ventilation. We'll be getting the intercom systems in both schools up and running with new technology. So and then the locker rooms here at CHS are also going to have an update. So moving forward with that, we heard that there should be a second round of CRF funds being pushed out shortly. Last week we heard it was last week. This week we heard it was this week. I don't know. It's going to be sometime, but the word on that is that we'll have to spend that second round before December 31st as well. So it's going to be hurry up and figure out what you need and hurry up and spend before the end of the calendar year. So that's what I have for updates on school reintegration and CRF application approval.
Anybody, any questions?
What were we doing with district vehicles then?
We've ordered, I think we've secured one. Oh, we've secured both right now. Two vans to replace our Flexes that have 650,000 miles on them. The silver one has 200,000, right, Keith?
Well, no, it's 170,000, and the other one's got 140-some thousand, but there's only it's only a 5-passenger now.
Yeah, and this is something that the districts across the state were all looking at doing, because if you're going to send, like we send often our kids to, our life skills kids to go swim at Eagle Lake, we can't put all those kids in a van, so we're gonna have to use 2 vans now. So again, social distancing and spreading them out, it's justifiable. It was very hard to find vans right now because of what all the districts are doing. Luckily Peter was able to secure
I did the last one today in Connecticut, so it should be here by the end of the week or earlier next.
I believe it's hot pink, right? That's all that was available.
One is gray, one is black. So.
Yeah.
How's our bus situation as far as the number of buses that we have, and do we have any in reserve?
The fleet, you want me to answer any of that, Ben?
Yeah, that's all you need.
No, the fleet's in good condition. I think we have enough buses in the fleet in order to be able to take, I know we do have enough buses in the fleet to take care of the students that we need. One of the positives about all of this is the fact that, you know, the survey that was sent out, there's a lot of folks that have said that they wanted to transport their own, and that has helped us a lot to be able to continue to allow for social distancing. So that's been a big plus for us. In looking at all of the numbers, as we alluded to a few minutes ago, the numbers really do show that we've got two routes that are gonna be questionable whether we'll have enough room with the existing buses that are there. We may need to add an additional vehicle, you know, to try to cover, example, the end of the runs that's coming in from Winterville and Eagle Lake, and a little bit coming in from St. John and St. Francis and Allagash. So the drivers feel very comfortable with there being no issues tomorrow and Friday, as we're only running half of our elementary school. But that'll give us a better idea as to what Monday is gonna look like, so we'll prepare ourselves different on Monday if we need to. We have received our new, if you remember the Volkswagen program bus that we had talked about a little while back, we have received that vehicle. That's it's at the shop, we're putting a camera system and 2-way radios in it, and it's gonna be ready for the road. That's our second lift bus, which is recommended that we keep in our fleet as having 2 of those. So that's our second lift bus that's in our fleet. The additional unit that was purchased through the budget should be coming in within the next couple weeks, and that's a 77 passenger, which is going to be replacing a 66 passenger. So that's gonna help us a little bit to try to, you know, to spread out the capacities. With the social distancing, it's been quite a chore to make sure that everybody has room. So, and then we're looking forward to seeing what's gonna happen at the end of this quarter, when some of the parents decide to change their mind to being able to transport or not, or to come to remote learning or homeschooling and so on and so forth. So, more to come that'll be interesting as we continue to unravel. But your quick answer is yes, we are very well set now to transport our students in at the start of the week.
Okay, thank you.
And Peter's had to remind a couple of parents who called in and noticed that students are sitting two in a seat. There was still some confusion with some folks about, I thought it was one kid per seat, and we're able to share the new guidance with them and say, no, as long as, you know, we're not filling our buses to capacity, you know, we've decided for us it's two per seat, unless we have a student that's taking up the majority of the seat, then we'll just leave that student alone. But that's how we're gonna proceed.
100% mask.
100% mask.
At all times, driver, all students, and that's been a little challenge, but it's been okay. 100% hand sanitizers as well, mounted in every one of the buses. So the students sanitize as they walk in, face masks, sanitize on the way out, and back into the school, and read your temperature as you walk in. So we're doing a lot.
Moving on to items of business, old business.
Committee
Policy.
reports.
Oh,
Policy committee.
sorry. We need to schedule a policy meeting, policy committee, Jake, correct?
Yeah.
Toby, and
Me.
oh yeah, we adjusted it, yeah. Is there a time next week when, the three of you can be available to, have a policy committee, and just to go over a few, that we need to adjust?
Wednesday.
What do you have Monday afternoon? At 3:30.
I have an appointment, probably be done by 3:45.
All right, so we meet at 4.
Can you do 4 on Monday, Jake?
Sure. 4:30 would be better though, but I did.
4.
Let's
4.
4:15? 4:15?
This is hard. I have to leave work.
You know.
Could you Zoom it, Jake? Would the,
I could Zoom it.
so if we
I
send
was
you a
in the
Zoom link at
office.
4, then
Sure.
you can join us that way? Okay, I'll send you all a calendar invite.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now,
Now, yeah. So, MPA guidance, we were supposed to have updated guidance this morning. As I told Sarah at the beginning of this meeting, I think in my next life I want to work for the MPA, because apparently you don't have to do what you say you have to do, because it just doesn't happen. So I did make a phone call to Mr. Doak, who serves on the executive committee for the Aroostook County Superintendents, and they've been in the mix with what's going on. And he was able to inform me that that meetings have been going on all day with the various entities about what they're going to do, what the guidance is going to be, and really there's still a lot of divide on the way to proceed. So I do want to share with you, and I'll share on the screen here in a second. I do want to share with you what we believe is going to be the revision of that information. And what I'm showing you is what's called the community sports guidance. And this is essentially what all the clubs, all the camps, all the different organizations that had or have been having sports throughout the state, this is the guidance that they've been following. And when the MPA put out this version of their guidance, the one that I had sent to you guys earlier, they adopted some of the community sports guidance, but not all. And when the commissioner and the DHHS commissioner replied to the MPA, they basically said, you're not following enough of that guidance. And so what we believe, based on all of this correspondence, is more of this guidance would be followed. And I'll just show you the most important part of this is the risk level of how they're coding sports. And for soccer falls in the moderate risk category with these other sports. So here's soccer. And moderate risk are supposed to follow levels 1 to 3 for indoor or outdoor sports, and up to level 4 for outdoor only. And these levels are identified right here of what your guidance is for following, safely following. So level 1, you perform skill building drills, conditioning at home, alone, or with household members. So essentially, what the phase 1 MPA guidance was is essentially what that is. Level 2 is team-based practice with physically distanced social group activities. And that's essentially what's going on now with the sports. They're doing drills, they're doing distancing, they're doing pods of kids, but they're not playing games yet. Level 3 is within team competition, so you move to intra-squad scrimmages, and this level of play involves one cohort of participants. We believe that the MPA is going to call this preseason, this level 3, and say, okay, in preseason, your team can play each other. You can scrimmage each other because you're now one group, one cohort of participants. And then level 4 is competition between teams from the same geographic area, so the same county, and in some cases adjacent counties. This level of play involves 2 cohorts of participants. So the Aroostook County athletic directors met last week, and they talked about this level 4, and they talked about an Aroostook League soccer, if we're given approval, this approval, in Aroostook League soccer league for both high school and middle school, where none of the teams would be leaving Aroostook County. So Presque Isle, Caribou, Holton usually play teams from Penobscot County. They would not be playing teams from Penobscot County. They'd only be playing Aroostook County. And Aroostook County would be divided into 2 different groups. One would be the small schools category, and one would be the larger schools category. Small schools would be all schools smaller than Madawaska Middle High School in population, and larger schools would be all the schools Madawaska's size and larger. So we would fall in the large school category with Holton, Caribou, Presque Isle, Mars Hill, and Madawaska. I think those are the ones that fall into that. And you would only play those teams on your schedule up to 10 games. That's going to be the maximum amount of games that you will play for a regular season. And the way that they're envisioning it is if you get a win, you get 3 points. If you get a tie, you get 1 point. If you get a loss, you get no points. And at the end of 10 games, you would have a little mini playoff from the top teams and have an Aroostook County championship. There would be no state championship, there would be no tournament, there would be no traveling beyond Aroostook County. So that's what they envision this to be, and what they would be proposing that we allow. Right now, from what I gathered from Mr. Doak, was the DOE and DHHS really want the MPA guidance to follow strict CDC guidelines, which means that they would essentially be telling the soccer players they have to wear face masks to play soccer. And of course you have people on one side saying, well, you can't safely play with face masks because you're going to have kids passing out because they won't be able to breathe. And then you have the other group saying, well, that's the only way that it's according to CDC guidelines because that's what we're doing in school. So I from what I gather, that's the debate right now. The face mask is the biggest debate. Everything else, coaches, referees, players on benches, it's all 6 feet apart, masks at all times. Your crowd is limited to 100 people because that's what the guidance is from the state for outdoor gatherings. And the 100 people include your teams, so home team, away team, that's part of the 100, your referees, your ball runners, the folks who are doing live streaming, the administrators, managing the activity. So with all of those people in place, you're basically looking at maybe 30 additional fans, maybe 40 if you have smaller teams. So one thing the Aroostook County Superintendent's talked about, if this goes forward and it's board approved, the only fans that would be allowed to attend in order to make it totally even across the board for Aroostook County, we would only provide game tickets to the home team's parents. The home team's parents would be the only ones in attendance because there's no other way to regulate that. We know that if you look at a soccer game here at CHS, there are kids playing everywhere and they have great time and it's wonderful, but to try to manage all of the face mask requirements and all of those things while a game is going on. Also here at CHS and a lot of schools around the county, you have car parking that can go all around the field. It presents another problem altogether because now you're trying to tell people to stay in their cars and they want to get out, and some teams don't have that advantage and some teams do. So we felt a blanket statement across the board. Home teams' parents would be the only ones. We would be looking to offer live streaming of all our games. And again, we're only talking 5 home games, right? Because it's only a 10-game season, so it's not a ton of games. It's 5. Live stream the home games so that folks who can't come to the game at least can enjoy it from home. So that's where we are right now. I do not have an updated guidance to give you because the MPA does not have anything. We presented the same thing to 33 last night, and essentially 33, their approval was contingent on the MPA's guidance following the CDC guidelines. So they're basically saying if the MPA's guidance follows whatever the CDC is recommending and the DOE and the DHHS are fine with it, then we're fine with sports happening. I don't know if you guys are comfortable making that kind of a recommendation or if you want to revisit this again when the MPA does come out with something. I don't know when that will be. Again, it was supposed to be this morning.
I guess, Ben, the concern that I have is not, I mean, if MPA here is gonna drag their feet and they're not gonna give us an answer, in the time being, the fall season is moving along, and the kids are not getting a chance to play some sort of team sports. And I know that a lot of kids would seriously consider if they, as an alternative, all right, and we've talked about that, but they would be willing to consider forming golf teams and compete against the same schools and whatever. But we do have a season that we can do that right now. But if they're going to drag their feet and give us an answer in a week and a half, another 2 weeks, man, now we're into potato harvest season, and well, there was the soccer season.
We're almost at mid-season point right now of a normal year. And we talk about this all the time, the superintendents, how frustrating it is to not have a guidance to decide by, because every community has their own feelings about sports, and every person has their own feelings about it, and it's hard to say go out and play without face masks, but come back to school tomorrow with them, and I get that. But it's also hard to say we're not going to have sports because these kids need something. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just very difficult.
If I had something to say, it would be that whenever you get the guidance, let us know. We'll have a surprise meeting and we'll decide then. Because we could talk about this forever because we don't know what's going to happen, and all we're doing is speculating.
Yep.
And they've never made a decision. I don't expect them to start now.
I am with Kerr, though. I think you had suggested that a couple meetings ago, Ben, that we explore alternatives.
Sports.
I think we explore alternatives. We have lots of stuff we can do around here. We've got the outdoor center that's got an ultimate frisbee set up. Not ultimate, frisbee, disc golf. We've got all sorts of things we can do that aren't soccer. I'm assuming, I didn't see what else was on the list, but I'm assuming the stuff like the track and field stuff, cross-country running stuff, we can do without having to worry about stuff so much, right?
Yeah, cross-country events, that's in the lower risk. Golf would be there as well.
Golf, skiing.
Can you do the lower risk stuff? Do you still need guidance?
We don't have guidance for anything.
There, that's what I'm saying. Once you have the guidance, then you decide.
Well,
You
no,
have
but
no
let's-
guidance
let-
for nothing.
Soccer sucks if it's just one team, Barry.
I
Right?
know, but-
they can go skiing tomorrow. Oh, no, they can't go skiing tomorrow, let's hope. But they can go cross-country running tomorrow against each other. We can't field two teams to fight with each other, too.
You
to play
still
with each
need guidance for the cross-country or for the golf.
other. But within our district, we can expand things to other smaller
Yeah.
things, like they can go play
Yeah.
golf. They can go do cross-country running, and even if it's time
Play
trials.
cornhole,
They can play cornhole.
you know,
I
whatever.
mean, you talked about esports, they can do that without ever being in the same room.
Badminton.
Right.
I mean, this may be an opportunity, I think, for us to explore alternatives.
Like district intramural sports that are socially distanced. We can put a plan in action tomorrow, and then in the meantime, while we're waiting for this, you know, then we can come back and see what they say here and decide if we want to participate in this.
Some things I've read as well is having a senior day earlier than later, just in case something does, we get more active COVID cases in the community, so the seniors don't miss out on that.
But you know, Ben, coming back, I really do think we gotta set a timeline. Because, I mean, if we're just, I mean, they're just jerking our chain here, right? And I just say, let's set a date, and we say, by next Tuesday, they don't have an answer for us, then this is the alternative plan that we're gonna follow,
I agree with that.
you know?
I think we should develop the alternative either way.
Yeah.
Because how do you think basketball's gonna go?
Yeah,
I mean, we're going in a gym at that point.
yeah,
Uh, I'm not optimistic.
If they're still scrambling about soccer,
Yeah.
holy moly.
I don't see them pulling it together for basketball. So even if we have a soccer season, we're still gonna be looking for alternatives. So I don't think we wait. I think we start developing an alternative plan.
yeah,
And if they can play soccer, let them play soccer, but I'm assuming it's not gonna happen.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Your vote, you're just gonna put them together.
Yeah. Yep, I think we're good. And everything that we put together will be following the same guidance we have in schools. So the same guidance we have in schools is what's going to work. Golf means that it's the same thing as physical education. They can be 14 feet apart without face masks. If they can do that on a golf course, then they don't have to wear the face mask. If they're riding in a cart together or walking together, they have to wear the face mask. So all the same rules will apply. So we're good on that. Thank you. The adjustment to the agenda was to discuss Valley Unified Education Service Center, specific to the letter that I received from Mr. Sibley this weekend. I did email a copy to Madawaska board members there and SAD 33. I emailed that on Monday. Yesterday, I met with 33, and we talked about their thoughts to your letter. I think across the board, and some of the emails I've received from the Madawaska School Committee members as well, is the hope is that we can potentially come to a resolution. In speaking with 33 last night, I tried to get them to understand that your concerns are concerns that that have been shared for a while, but they're also concerns that you are hearing from your community, and to simply push forward is not going to be, it's not going to end well for Valley Unified. So what 33 has given me as directive is to reach out to their legal counsel to formulate a response to your letter, but also to explain what's important to them, and to come up with some potential resolutions to what's important to you. One thing that we tossed around for quite a while yesterday was the governance of Valley Unified and how, when that was created, it was appointed members, yada, yada, yada. I think the 33 board understands your position that larger communities should have a larger percentage of the vote. I think where they'd like to see this go in a resolution is to have communities have representation on both boards, the Valley Unified and the RSU, that is specific to the communities, not to SAD 27 or SAD 33. So in essence, you know, you wouldn't have 3 board members from Frenchville representing Frenchville and St. Agatha. You would have board member from Frenchville, board member from St. Agatha. So having communities have voice and choice, I think that would be advantageous on a lot of fronts. I think if you are going to have to do that in an RSU formation, why not shadow that for your Valley Unified Service Center? I think everyone gets what they want in that, so I don't know what your thoughts are about that, but those were part of the discussions we had yesterday, specific to the governance piece, which your letter did highlight as a major concern.
I think our letter spoke for itself. I mean, when's the next Valley Unified meeting?
21st, I believe.
This month? I mean, I think the next step is just figuring out, I think it goes to a vote about us leaving. They've got till the 21st of September. I mean, that was what our letter said. That's where we're going. I don't think they actually do understand. And that's, yeah.
The thing is that we've actually been saying this for over 3 months.
We've been saying this for over a year.
Well, I know, but we've been saying this, so, you know, you just get beat up enough, then after a while, there's been more 6-3 votes than any other votes on Valley Unified. Not just one, many. And so basically, we said it before and we voted on it a number of times. We're basically done with it. Done. And they just need to figure it out on how they want to deal with it. You know, we have to figure out how we're gonna go forward. Might take us 2 years to get where we're going, but that's what we're gonna have to do.
Who's their legal counsel then?
For them, it would be Drummond and Woodson.
They can't. Drummond and Woodson consulted all 3 of us in the formation of this. They can't consult Frenchville in this again.
Drummond and Woodson is still Frenchville's legal counsel.
But they can't consult them involving matters involving Valley Unified because it's something that they represented all 3 of us on at the last time. It's a conflict for them. That's what I was afraid of. We've consulted with Drummond and Woodson as it pertains to the interlocal agreement. Now Frenchville's going to Drummond and Woodson to consult on the interlocal agreement. They can't. I mean, I'll talk to Dan, but I think once again that's a conflict for them. They're going to have to bring somebody else in.
I'm going to take off my superintendent's hat and put on my Fort Kent resident hat. This decision does not represent my position as a resident of Fort Kent. I'm just telling you all that.
I think Toby made it pretty clear that on a specific date. Right, what's that date, Toby?
September 21st. I mean, we're open. We're not closing the door, but I can't, we've waited months with nothing.
In the middle of a pandemic, though, we have to be realistic to the fact that, you know, a lot has happened since that straw poll vote. So it's challenging. I can attest that the conversation that board had yesterday was a different tone, that they hear you and that they want to come to a resolution. I can't speak on Madawaska because I haven't met with them yet, but we're meeting tomorrow to discuss the same thing.
The other item in the letter was about site selection. Did they talk about that piece?
I believe that the 33 board, well, I don't believe, the 33 board did speak yesterday that the site selection is something that they feel is really important to them as it's been completed, and they feel it was done appropriately.
Have we heard from the commissioner, ma'am?
We have, the commissioner replied to my email when I sent the letter, and let me just bring it out here. what's her name, Penn? We recognize how much work you and the other SAUs put into this effort, and we're very sorry to hear that a governance structure could not be developed for the Valley Unified School Construction Project. I then replied to her that although this letter is troubling, I do believe it's not the end. We'll be working diligently over the next few weeks to try to work on a plan that will satisfy all parties. We'll be in touch soon.
I think that's the RSU, Ben. It's not that the Valley Unified governance doesn't seem to be working well, right? So the next step would be the RSU, correct?
Yeah, but Jake, we've decided that unless we can address the underlying issues with Valley Unified, there's no point
No, I
going in
agree with
RSU.
that, but as far as the discussion points with the other boards, I mean, there has to be, Ben, did you feel like they wanted to discuss, they want to have one vote, what did you say, Ben?
The way I painted a picture to them last night is you're going to have to form an RSU. You already know that. That RSU is going to have board representation according to your communities. So it's going to have to represent the size of your communities. So if you're going to go through that, why wouldn't you at the same time change your governance, or beforehand change your governance to match that for Valley Unified? That way future decisions are not tarnished because of stacked votes one way or the other.
Well, let's see where the Valley Unified Board takes this. And if we can't make any headway, we're just gonna have to, go our own separate direction.
I mean, we got a meeting on the 31st, on the 21st, and we'll see where that goes. And I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I concur. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm not prepared to throw in the towel. I think that we have to have the meeting, that the process go through, and I understand, Barry, that you're saying, it's been forever. Well, it hasn't really been forever. It's still a process, and I'm a strong advocate of the proportionate voting. There is no two ways about it, okay? But I'm still at the same time very interested in having a school. So I'm not going to make any bones about that. It's not about bricks and mortar. It's about quality education that facility would offer. And I'm sorry, I would have liked to have seen it in my backyard. It's not here. So be it. It is what it is. And it's like I said, I've been to a couple of facilities of this caliber, and you cannot compare what is going on there to what we have to offer here. I'm telling you right now. And what I would challenge every board member here is to take the opportunity to go visit one of these places and then make up your mind. Because I see this as an old dinosaur, and it's time for some new stuff. That's my position. But in terms of proportionate voting, I am writing on that. We have to, that's got to be settled.
That's the first thing that needs to be settled.
What was that?
That's the first thing that has to be settled.
Yeah?
Without that, don't even think about talking.
Oh, I understand that, Beer. I understand that. But that's where we start,
I think the letter was clear,
Yeah.
so. Let's see.
Moving on to new business.
Yep. Under items for information, new hire, I'd like to recommend our 3 to 5 remote learning instructor, and the recommendation is for Julie San Clemente. And Julie is aware that this is a 1-year position only, to be revisited depending on the pandemic and everything, but she does realize that it is a 1-year position only. So my recommendation is for Julie San Clemente.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
And we currently have openings for ed techs one-on-ones, so if you know anyone who would like to ed tech, send them our way.
How's that professional teacher sub working out for us?
Good, we're gonna be in a lot of work for substitutes. Our substitute list is getting very thin. And so I wanted to give it a little bit of time, but I may be coming back to you to maybe incentivize being a sub this year. A lot of people are not willing to do it for the money based on COVID and all that, so really thin list right now. And I don't know if money's the answer, and I don't know if that'll, make people come, but we need to come up with a plan here real quick on what we're going to do. So I'm glad we snatched the temporary support personnel, so at least we have some people that are on call all the time, and that's been good, especially with lunch duties and things like that, but regular subs we're going to need. So if you know any subs, send them our way.
So we did hire the temporary help.
Yeah, we've offered long-term sub arrangements for them. It's not official hiring because we don't have the whole package, but we do have the long-term subs. And what are the names of our long-term subs, or temporary support personnel?
Sharon Micho here, okay, and then one that we're splitting between here and the elementary school, Josie St. Germain.
Yep.
And then Lisa Hagemiller be at the elementary school.
Those were names that were on our sub list that agreed to stay on longer term.
And it certainly has been hard finding subs. We've had a couple this week, and it's very, very thin. We need some incentives for sure.
Free parking.
How's everyone holding up in the schools?
It's good. It's and we spoke a little bit before you arrived. It's the subtle changes are demanding, and we're really glad that teachers are taking advantage of getting outside and mask breaking, and we're glad the students are taking advantage of eating lunches outside and spreading out and doing those things. Those things are great, but what we're hearing from our teachers is we miss each other. We miss eating lunch with each other. We miss chit-chatting. So our plan is to come up with some concrete ways we can provide that through our next early release on September 18, where we're going to brainstorm with the staff. We're going to have them do a survey here tomorrow about some suggestions they have, but we've got to get people networking again, and that's the most important. We just miss each other. I miss seeing your smiling face, Barry.
I mean, hey, listen, I took all my teeth out. You don't know that. I'm gumming it right now.
And so tomorrow we start elementary, and here we go.
I'm not sure that we truly miss one another, okay? I mean, I'm a teacher, that sounds a little, I don't know, that sounds a little corny to me, man, but I think what we do miss is the opportunity to share and to interact and to discuss educational scenarios. And, do you have any tricks in your bag that you can help me with? Because right now it's requiring a lot. And so it allows people to brainstorm, and that's what we're lacking, because we're strapped with so many duties we're on all the time that there's really no time to do anything else. So that's what we miss, the opportunity to sit down and just let's brainstorm. I mean, I need some help with this. I'm not really sure how to do this, and there are shortcuts and everything. And right now we just need to have those discussions.
Yeah, we had a wonderful staff meeting today in the cafeteria, where we do help solve each other's problems in that way. It was really enlightening, so we need some time like that.
I mean, I'm doing Google Classroom, and I'll tell you, man, there's so many different versions, there's so many derivatives, and it's one person does it one way, another one does it another way, and it's like, really, and suddenly I'm saying, well, I learned this little shortcut, and if I click this on, I'm able to just download that into all my groups and whatever, and somebody else was, and the person that was teaching me was saying, wow, I didn't even know that existed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, that's really what it is. I mean, you learn from one another. So,
yeah.
I think you really miss us, Carl.
What's that?
I think you really miss us. Who gets to see the letter? Is the letter public?
Well, it was CC'd to a bunch of people, and it's public now. You've got a copy of it, right?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Do you want me to push it out to the press?
I think the more people that know what our position is, the better it is. I mean, I'm just, you,
Have you've had the MSAD 33 board meeting already about Madawaska?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why don't we wait till after the Madawaska meeting? Or, I mean, that's completely up to you, obviously.
Yeah.
but
it's not gonna change the
that's
letter.
what I'd recommend. Pardon?
It's not gonna change the letter.
No. but give us a chance to see their response.
Okay, anybody else? Anything?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Lucy? Lucy?